Hi crafters, this is Nye with All Things Were Created. Today we are going to go over how to prepare the football goalpost decor SVG cut file inside of Cricut Design Space. That title was a mouthful. This file is pretty large when you go to bring it in, and it's going to require changing a few of the score lines over to cut lines and rearranging a couple of elements inside the design or inside the canvas so that way we can cut it on as few mats as possible and also using as few sheets of cardstock as possible because that's really important. We don't want to waste our cardstock. So first thing is first. Open up Cricut Design Space and make sure that you're on a brand new blank canvas. Use your tracking pad to get your mouse and come on over to the left side of your screen and use that scroll bar and scroll until you see the upload button. Then you want to select Upload Image again. Then you also now need to go and find where on your computer, your tablet, your device that the file downloaded when you downloaded it off of the website. So select Browse, and then it already has it open for me. You want to find that folder, and then you want to select the file that has SVG written at the end. Select that, and then click Open. It's going to bring it into Design Space, but at a preview screen, so you can see all of the elements of the design there. You want to come on over to the left, or I'm sorry, not the left, the right lower corner of your screen and select Upload. That will now actually bring it into your Design Space account. Then you want to select the file again, right, by clicking on the image inside that menu screen there, and then select Add to Canvas. And now you can see that it's on your canvas and it's huge. So we're going to select the zoom out button so we can see all of the different pieces. I'm going to stay right here at about the 50%. We are also going to come on over to this button here and select the Ungroup button. This is just going to ungroup all of the elements from each other, but not the score lines from each part of the file. So select Ungroup once, and then we're going to get started by hiding a couple things and cutting. So now over here on the right side of your screen, you have another scroll bar, which will allow you to scroll through all the different layers inside of Design Space. We're going to go ahead and hide the banner first by just selecting the eyeball right here. And that's hiding the top layer of the green. We're going to scroll a little bit further and hide the white part. And then again, the back part, which is also green. Then we're going to keep scrolling and we're going to hide these flaps as well and keep scrolling, and we're going to hide the green part, which is this section right here, which will be the bottom of the goalpost. We're going to hide that first. And we're also going to hide this one. So I'm going to select it so I make sure I get the right one. And it highlighted it over here in the Layers panel. I'm going to select the eyeball to hide that as well. And then we're going to hide the parts of the box by selecting again the eyeball and then scrolling a little bit further and selecting the other one by clicking the eyeball. So now we're left with the upper part of the goalpost, which will be the front. We're going to, now that everything else is hidden, we're going to select that, and it's going to highlight it again for us inside the Layers panel. What we want to do is come on over and we want to select the layer that has all of those lines, not the solid yellow layer, but just the line layer. Click that layer, come over to the Operations tab, and we are going to now click that drop-down arrow and select Score. And we can see now that it did score it because all of those straight lines have become dashed lines. And we're ready now to attach this part to the canvas. So we're just going to drag a box around the entire part of the design there to select all of it. Right click inside that box and then select Attach here, or over here on this part of the screen you can select Attach as well. So select the Attach, and now we can see over in the Layers panel that Attach has now occurred to the layer. We're going to select Make It. We can see again that it's all going to cut on one 12 by 12 inch yellow cardstock, which is what we're going to use for this one. I'm using my scroll bar here so I can see all of it, that yes, it fits on the mat. I can also see that my operation is going to be score and basic cut. I've got my 12 inch by 12 inch material size right here. And then it looks good. I'm going to hit continue. And oh, this is always the hardest part, waiting for my connection to occur. But it looks like it's going. Okay. I'm going to cut this on my regular 80-pound cardstock setting. My mat is already loaded with my yellow cardstock. So I'm going to go and select the go button. And after it cuts, I'll come back and we'll get to cut the next part. Okay, so I finished my cut. It worked beautifully. I'm back on my canvas. And what I need to do now is come on up over to this arrow, this undo arrow, and select it. That's going to unattach or detach my layer from the canvas. And now if you've been following along with me for a while, you know that when I cut big files, after I cut something, I like to delete it so it doesn't clog up my layers panel and I don't accidentally cut it twice, because I've done that before. So I'm going to select this entire layer there, and I'm just going to select delete on my computer. Nothing else was deleted in the file, just that one layer that I cut. And I'm now going to come over to my layers panel, and I'm going to look for that other yellow layer, which I think is right here. Yes. And I clicked that eyeball to unhide it. And once again, I'm going to find that line layer, select that, come back over to the operations, select score, and I can see that it changed those score lines for me. I'm going to take my mouse and create a box around the layers, right click inside that box, and then select attach again. I can see that it is attached over here at my layers panel because I can see the word attach. I'm going to select make it, give it again just a quick once over in the mat preview and see that yes, it's on my mat. I know that it's going to do score and basic cut. I've got my 12 inch by 12 inch material. I'm going to select continue, wait for my computer to connect again, and it's going to take its good old time now. Okay, there it goes. Again, I'm just going to cut this on my regular 80-pound cardstock setting. My machine is loaded with my yellow cardstock. I'm going to select go, and then I'll meet you back on the canvas for the next part. Okay, so I'm back on my canvas. I cut out the back part of the goalpost. It worked fantastic. Once again, I'm going to come up over here to this undo arrow and select it, which will detach this layer from my canvas. I'm going to take my mouse and drag a box around that layer, and I'm going to delete it. So now my next part that I want to cut is I'm going to cut the bottom part of the goalpost, which will be a green sheet. And I'm pretty sure that this is it right here. So I'm going to unhide it, and I'm going to drag it and bring it over here to this corner because I know that I can cut a couple other pieces on this sheet as well. So I'm just going to bring it up to that corner. And then I'm also going to find these green squares, which look like they're right above that goalpost layer. So I just scroll all the way up a little bit more so I can find the beginning. And then I'm going to select the eyeball to unhide it, and it's right there. So I'm going to take my mouse now and drag this over so I can see all of the pieces. So this sheet of cardstock will use a 12 inch by 12 inch green sheet, and I'm going to arrange these pieces so I can cut all 5 of these on one sheet of green cardstock. So these 4 flaps here are grouped together, and I need to ungroup them so I can rearrange them and move them around. So I'm going to come over here to my layers panel and select that ungroup button again for these. And now I can pick up each one of these individually. I'm going to take this one and bring it down here, and this one here and bring it here. These are the wider parts. And then these smaller ones, I'm just going to put right there. Okay, and so now I have all 5 of these, and I can see that these all have lines on them, which means that these lines need to be changed over to score lines. So I'm going to just begin selecting each element on the canvas, which will also highlight it in the layers panel. I'm going to find that line layer, select that line layer, come back over to the operation, click the drop-down menu and select score, and then I can see that it changed it. I'm going to do it for the next one. Find that line layer, select it, come over to the operation and change it to score. And I can see that it worked. I'm going to select the third one, find the line layer, select that line layer, come back over to the operation and change it to score. And once again, I'm going to do it for this one. Find the line layer in the layers panel, select it, come back over and change it to score. And again, for this big one, I'm going to select it, find all of those line layers because they're all together as one in the layers panel, select that line layer and change it again to score. And that looks like all of those are scored and they're ready. Now I'm going to again attach these by taking my mouse and just creating a box around all of those, right-clicking in that box and selecting attach. I can see over my layers panel that yes, the attach did work. I'm going to select make it and I'll get to my matte preview. And here I'm definitely going to want to check and make sure that everything is going to fit within that 12-inch by 12-inch cardstock sheet. And I can see that I'm good here. And over on the left part of my screen, I can see that it says score and basic cut and my material size. So everything's good. I'm ready to cut. I'm going to select continue. And I'm going to move ahead. When my computer connects, I already have my mat loaded. And when my computer connects, I'm going to select go and allow it to cut. And then I'll meet you guys back on the canvas for the next sheet. Okay, so now I'm back on my canvas. The bottom part of the goalpost and the flaps, they cut beautifully and everything worked. I'm going to select the design and click undo, which will detach all of those elements from my canvas. Again, I'm going to take my mouse and drag a box around all of these and just delete them from my screen and from the software there. And so my next part that I'm going to do is I'm going to do my second green sheet of cardstock, and I am going to come over to my layers panel, and I can see that it's right now stuck at the box layer. I'm going to select this eyeball to ungroup it, and that's brought it down there. I'm going to select it now, and I can see that it's grouped together. So I'm going to come on up and ungroup this. And let's see. So what that did was now I can move these apart. I can see that there's a score line right down the center on the green part and also the white part, but I'm going to hide the white part because I'm not ready to do that one yet. So I selected it and I'm going to come over to the layers panel and click the eyeball to hide it. So now I'm left with one part of the green layer, and I want to find the next one, which I'm just scrolling down a little bit further and I can see it here. So I'm going to click the eyeball to unhide it. And there it is. Move my canvas screen down a little. I'm going to select this. It's also grouped together. So I'm going to come over here and select the ungroup button. And now I'm going to see if I can drag just the green part. And I'm going to take this white part and I'm going to select that and then hide it over here by clicking the eyeball. So now I'm left with these two green pieces. I'm going to bring them up to this part, to the corner, so I can get them as close as possible. And I also know that I can probably fit the banner pieces on this second sheet of my 12-inch by 12-inch green cardstock. I'm just going to move it over a little bit more so I can get it as close as possible because I think I'm going to need as much space as I can. So now I know that's towards the top in my layers panel, so I'm just going to scroll all the way to the top here, and I have to ungroup all of it. So I'm going to select, or I'm sorry, I have to unhide all of it. So I'm going to select the eyeball to unhide it. And I think each section here is grouped together. So I'm going to select ungroup. Well, let's see, can I bring it apart? Oh, I can. So that's what I'm going to do. So I just dragged it off, and I can do that with this white. They're all grouped together. So I'm going to select this white here, and I'm going to hide that. And I'm going to scroll up and then find this eyeball so I can hide them all at once with one click and not individually. And these two, I am going to come back over and select the ungroup button because I'm going to need to move them around. And I guess I have to do each one individually now. So the back part of the banner and the front part of the banner, those are grouped individually. So again, I'm just going to come over and ungroup, and then I'm going to select the front part of the banner and ungroup. And now I should be able to move each one by itself. So I'm going to take these bigger pieces and bring them, the back part of the banner, and bring them down here to the bottom. Actually, I'm going to grab all three by just selecting all three and bringing them down. And the same thing with this one here. But for the layer with the letters, I'm going to just manually bring all of those up here one by one. I'm going to try and bring them in as close as possible so that way I am using up as much of my material as possible and I don't have to cut it twice. I'm going to also zoom in so I can get a little bit closer here and I can smush everything in a little bit more just to make sure that I can get everything in on this one sheet of cardstock. Now this cut is going to take a little bit longer because it's a lot of cutting. All of the lines of the game day with the box there and all of these letters, it's going to take a while for the machine to cut these out. Okay, so now with this, the back here, I think I'm going to have to do a little bit of rearranging. I'm going to align these so that way they are even by coming up and finding this align button here, clicking that drop down menu, and then finding the align center vertically. And now they're all of them are aligned according to the center, and I'm just going to bring it up a little bit more. And do you see what that did? It actually created a little bit more room for me down here at the bottom. So now I can take this W and this N, and what I'm going to do is, because it's really close to that 12-inch mark, I'm actually going to rotate them 90 degrees by coming up to the rotate button or the rotate slot here. And I'm just going to add a 9 and make it 90 and select enter. And now what I can do is I can just rearrange them like this. And that looks good. Okay. So this looks ready, but I still have one more thing to do. The game day part of the box, these dark cut lines here also need to be changed over to a score line. So I'm going to select this part of the design, and I can see that the software automatically went and found it for me in the layers panel. I'm going to find that line layer again, select that line layer, come back over to the operation and change it to score. I'm going to click over here off to the side so I can see that yes, it did change it to a score line. I'm going to do that as well for the bottom one. It found it in the layers panel for me. I'm going to select that line layer again and change it to score. And now I'm completely ready to cut. I'm going to zoom back out so I can see everything here. This one might cut off a little bit. So, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate that one as well, only because it's pretty close to that 12-inch mark. And I know the software likes to rearrange things when you get too close. So I'm going to come up to the rotate panel and select and add a 9 in there to change it to 90. And I'm going to take this one and just bring it over here and put it right there as well. So that looks good. All right, so it's ready to go. I'm going to take my mouse now, drag it over all of these elements so that way they're all highlighted, and it will select it all in the layers panel. Right click and then select attach, and it doesn't look like it went through, so I'm going to do it again. And for some reason it's not working for me, so let me try it one more time. There it goes. Okay, that was a little odd. All right, so I can see that yes, it did attach here. I'm going to select make it, and so I did get the message that it's a little bit bigger, but I think it's going to be okay. What I can do is I'm just going to maybe inch my paper down just a little to account for this gap here, and so that way it's a little bit past that 12-inch mark on my actual mat, but I think it will be fine. So I'm going to select OK, and so it looks good. Again, I can see that it's going to do score and basic cut, and I'm going to hit continue in the lower right corner of my screen. Wait for my computer to connect. This one, again, I'm just going to connect on, or I'm going to cut it on the regular 80-pound cardstock setting. And when my computer actually connects and everything works, I'm going to just select go at my machine and let it cut. Okay, and so I'll meet you back on the canvas for, I think this will be the last part. Okay, friends, so I just finished cutting out this part. It worked out perfectly. I just shifted my paper down just a little bit on my mat so that way it would cut, since I had gotten that error message, or not really an error message, but just that message that it was outside of the parameters there. But it worked just fine. So let's cut out the last section. I'm going to come on over and select the undo button to unattach all of that from my canvas. Again, I'm just going to delete everything so I don't cut it again. And my layers panel kind of gets a little cleaned up there. So I'm just going to take my mouse, drag that box around all of those elements, and then select the delete button, and that took care of it. And so what I'm left with now is the white part of the banner. So I can see it here in my layers panel. I'm going to click the eyeball to unhide it. And I know, I think I might have 2 more cuts left because of the box layers. So I'm going to unhide these 2 so I can see which ones are left. Yeah, I do have 2 cuts. So this one, I'm going to hide this one, and then I'm going to cut these 2 first. So I'm just going to drag it and bring it over here to the corner. And I'm going to do the same thing with these white parts of the banner as well. If you want, you could now select the banner, ungroup it, and then take these 4 and rearrange them so that way they line up here. I'm just going to leave mine this way. It's one less step for me. I'm going to select though this part of the box because I can see this line right down the center that needs to be changed to a score line. So I'm going to come on over here to that line layer on my layers panel, select it, come on over to the operations, select score, and click off, and I can see that yes, it changed it to a score line. I'm going to take my mouse and create that box again around these 2 file elements to select them both. Right click inside the box, select attach. I can see that it attached here on my layers panel. So I'm going to select make it and use this scroll bar over here on the right part of my screen just to scroll and make sure everything looks good. It does. And I can see that it's going to score and basic cut, and my material size is a 12-inch by 12-inch white cardstock. I'm going to select continue, and I have my white cardstock already loaded on my mat and in my machine. Again, I'm just going to cut this one on the cardstock 80-pound cut setting. When my machine connects, I'm just going to select the go button, and then I'll meet you back on the cardstock or on the canvas for the last cut. Okay, that's it. So this part cut out just fine again. I'm going to come on over here to the tab and select that undo button. I'm going to, which will detach everything from my canvas. And now I'm going to drag a box around all of those elements there. And then again, just delete them. And I'm left with this last piece, which is the other part of the box, the other side of the box with the bottom. I'm just going to bring it up here into the corner. And I can see those lines one more time, which need to be changed over to a score line. So I've come over here to my layers panel. I'm going to select that line layer, change it to a score line, click off here, and I can see, yes, it changed. Then I'm going to take my mouse, create that box again, right click inside the box, select attach, and then select make it, and use that scroll bar again along the right side of my screen just to take a good look at everything on the map preview here. And it looks good. I can also see that yes, it's going to do the score in the basic cut and that my material size is a 12-inch by 12-inch. And then I'm going to select continue. And this will be the last cut. When my machine connects, I'm just going to press the go button. I don't think it's actually loaded, but it's at my machine. I'm just going to select the go button and let it cut. And then you can find me in the next video and we'll assemble it all together. It might be a little bit longer because there's lots of different pieces, but this is going to be a great project. So thanks so much for following, and I'll see you in the next video.